and welcome to Tools to Manifest Your Dream Life with myself, Glenyce. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. And happy almost New Year. Yes, and you might have just seen our roomie behind me. His name is Marshmallow. He looks like a toasted marshmallow. He is one of the most curious kitties that I've ever met. Most cats are curious, but he is extra curious. We're here, which is in Edmonton, Alberta, near where we used to live until April. Yeah, I know, it's weird, right? Really appreciate having an indoor kitty right now, so we're not having to walk dogs in the snow. Yes. With it being almost a new year, let's talk about manifesting your big asks. Yes. Now, this is an invite to a free call that I have coming up on the 31st. So depending when you're listening, you might just get the replay. Go and sign up for that. It is all about a magical and cool way to manifest your dreams in 2025 and beyond. It's using something I've never used before. It's using something I've never even heard anybody else use before. So it's a brand new tool and I'm so excited to share it. Link will be above or below to join us. If you don't see a link, reach out and I will get it for you. How to manifest your big asks. Not your big ass, your big asks. Yeah, it is all about a very simple topic, but maybe not always so simple to do. And it's about taking action. If you would like something big or something that you would see as big. So let's say you want to move. You want to sell your home and you want to move to a new city. We could sit on the couch and hope and wish and dream for that to happen. Not going to happen. I mean, there's a very slight possibility. I don't want to say 100% no, but very, very, very unlikely. What does it take? It takes action. If you are looking at manifesting your big asks or just your asks, what actions are required? Now, with that, we have to even go back further than that. Okay, so what are the asks? And if you didn't catch the last show that I did, and it's all about the clarity of what are your desires, because I know a lot of people get stuck on that, so go back and review that. It's the show right before this one. With that, let's say you have your asks. You know what you're asking for, whether it's specifics or it's energies, doesn't matter. Then the next step is, what are the actions? Again, if we're going to sell a house, we either need to hire a realtor or we need to sell it ourselves and find out what that looks like. There's lots of action steps, and there's lots of action steps within those action steps. And this is where I pen and paper for the most part. And it's not really paper. What I use something called a rocket book, I think it's called. So it's erasable. I love that because I'm constantly making lists and then scratching out and then rewriting, and it just saves on trees, honestly. But use whatever you need to so that you actually have a way to track, one, what's required, and two, if you're doing them. Some people love to use their calendar. Some people love to use Google Notes. It doesn't matter what you use. Just make sure that you have something. And then it can feel overwhelming, right? Let's say you're going to go the realtor route. We've got to search different realtors. Then we maybe need to interview different realtors, and we need to invite them over to get them to give us an idea of what our house would sell for. Okay, but have all of that written down or put down somehow. And then today, look through that big long list, and what is the action for today? So you're breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down. So you have one big long list that can feel overwhelming, but that's not the list you're going to look at every day for your actions. You're going to have a different list of some sort so that you go, okay, well, today's the day to spend 30 minutes researching realtors. And honestly, nowadays, I think that stuff is fairly easy because if you're in some sort of a social media group, I'm going to use Facebook because I'm old. And that's where I usually go, is I've got different Facebook groups where I go and post things in. And I'll post who has a recommendation of a realtor. Now, over the years, I've gotten better at asking the question, because just asking it that way, you're probably going to get a lot of friends who have realtors who are going to just post about their friend. What I would ask is, who has a recommendation of a realtor they've worked with in the last year and were happy with? Cuts down on, oh, my friend does it. And it becomes then from real people that have had experiences. And 30 minutes of doing that, that can be the one thing on my list that day. instead of looking at, okay, I've got this big ask to sell my house and move to a new city, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. There's too much to do, and getting overwhelmed and then not actually doing it. Now, a couple of things with that. If you find that you're clear on what you would like, whether it's specific or energies, but you're not taking action, you might want to check in then. Okay, what's actually going on? Maybe it isn't something you truly desire. That could be one thing. It could be that you haven't done what I just talked about and kind of broke it down so it's really manageable steps. It could be that. It could be that it's changed. Maybe you have had that as an ask for 3 years. So you've just been kind of rotating that ask without really checking in and going, do I really desire to move? Do I really desire to sell the house? Maybe there's a way to keep the house and rent it out and move somewhere else. Like, so you start looking at other possibilities, because my awareness with this sort of stuff is if we've been asking for a while, and a while is different in each context, but if we've been asking for a while and it's not occurring and we're not taking actions towards it, there's something else going on. There's more information that you want to look for. And again, it could be all the things that I just listed. And then if you know that you really would like that, that would be an incredible manifestation for the new year, all the things, but you're still not really taking action, and maybe you've made the lists and you've broken it down and you're still not really taking the action, what you could ask then is just take a moment, just quietly, if you need to go to the bathroom, close the door, just so you have 5 minutes, and just ask yourself, what is the value of not taking action towards this ask? That can bring up a lot of information for you. Now, usually the reaction with that question is, well, there's no value. But one thing I know for sure is that whatever we have in our life, there is a value to it. There is something that we're getting out of it. If we're willing to ask ourselves and willing to be honest with ourselves about what the value might be, then we can change it. But until we acknowledge it, we're going to keep spinning in it. We're going to keep making ourselves wrong. We're going to go into well, I'm not taking action and I'm wrong and I should. And like, it's a horrible place to be. Believe me, I know. So what you want to do is have some grace for yourself. Ask yourself that question. What's the value of not taking the action? But not from judgment or not to look at why you're wrong. It's almost like if you had a 5-year-old in front of you and you wanted to understand something they were going through, you wouldn't be harsh to them. You wouldn't be unkind or mean to them, but you might be curious. And so how can you be curious with yourself with that grace of whatever it is that's going on? It could be that it's scary. It could be that you've never lived in a different part of the world. You've never moved from that city. Well, that could be scary. So maybe you need to take a few minutes or a little bit longer with yourself to look at, wow, that is scary. Okay, so what would I do if I needed somebody's support in a moment and I was living in a new city? What would I do? Okay, maybe you have a friend who has their parents live in that city. So maybe you could talk with them and see if they would be willing to be a support. Or maybe it's about creating some connections there now before you start the move. What if we just had grace for ourselves? It's something I've been really looking at for myself, because it's so easy, and I don't mean it's right, I just mean it's easy. And if this isn't easy for you, please celebrate that. But it's so easy for me to go into the wrongness of it and the upset of it and the I should have or I shouldn't have, or all the judgment of myself about it, rather than just the grace of, wow, okay, this is it. I had an experience recently where I was in a meeting with another woman at a car dealership, and she was actually mid-sentence, like literally mid-sentence with me. And a man walked in that was to do with the office and started talking to her. And I'm not sure that I've ever felt so disrespected or invisible. It was horrible, is what it was. And I said nothing. And I was so mad at myself that I didn't actually say anything. And on the way home, I was mad at myself, playing it over in my head. I talked to hubby about it. And then I talked to a friend about it. And she said to me, have you looked at why you didn't say anything? Go beyond the judgment, beyond what you think you should have done. Why didn't you say anything? And when she said that, I knew right away. It was like I had received the message multiple times in my lifetime that it's not safe to say what's on my mind. And what happened was that energy was like that got triggered, and I went into that unsafe without, there was no cognitive thought of that, but there was the energy of shut up. And man, when I look at that now and I look at how I was so mad at myself and I was putting the energy into being mad at myself instead of having grace and going, hey, it's okay. It's okay that you didn't say anything. It's okay. And then looking at what's it going to take in the future? What do I require to heal and shift and change so that if there is a time where I feel safe saying something, then I'll easily say something. And that's what I talk about when I was talking about grace, is that sort of grace. There's this idea that we are to be perfect all the time, or things are always supposed to be a certain way, or if some sort of disservice is done or disrespect is done, that we should stand our ground. And what if we don't have to? Like, what if we can check in with ourselves and have grace for ourselves and take whatever action is going to create the greatest in that moment without the shoulds or shouldn'ts or all of that insanity? A little bit off track from what I was talking about, but I wanted to share that so that you could really look at having grace for yourself in whatever ways you're not having grace for yourself. You are magical. You are incredible. You are beautiful. You are experiencing living on this planet right now in amongst all sorts of energies. And what if we have grace for ourselves in that, and that we always have our own backs? Once again, I would love to invite you to the free call so I can share my brand new magical way to manifest with you for 2025 and beyond. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I am truly, truly grateful for you, and I wish you everything magical, everything beautiful, everything abundant, everything shiny, everything peaceful and calm in this year to come.